Right, whilst we're waiting, does anybody know what that is? Oh, close. It's a liver bird. It's a liver bird. Does anyone know what a scouser is? No? No one knows what a scouser is? Brilliant. A scouser. So a scouser is a term for somebody who comes from Liverpool in the north of England, and that is the emblem of Liverpool. You said that and you said that. 2 points. They're Liverpool fans, yeah. So also the football club has taken on that emblem. So I'll make a start. Do you want to close the door, yeah? So reason why that's there is because it's an introduction to me. All of those things, but also I'm a Scouser. I've been living in London for 22 years, so nearly as much as living in Liverpool. So I have a distinct accent, a Scouse accent. It's very different to how people from London speak, which is why I'm explaining that to you. Yeah. So I moved from Liverpool to London 22 years ago to join a software development team as a Power Builder programmer. Some people may remember Power Builder, some may not. 22 years was a long time ago, so I was working in software before that actually. So I've got lots of experience writing software, working in teams, and I think around 2018 I started a more coaching, kind of professional coaching learning journey. I was invited into the first Scrum team in around 2004 and set up this company about the same time, and I've spent pretty much every day since then working in different organisations, helping them to adopt agile practices and transform to an agile culture. That's enough about me. This warm-up, I was going to keep it flexible, glad I did. So self-organise into tables of groups of around 5 people and try to sit on a table with people that are wearing the same colour shoes. The same colour shoes. So that means get up and move. Smaller groups is fine. You didn't put your pink pumps on then, Chris, no? You didn't put your pink pumps on today? Right, okay. Actually, would it be possible to split into 4 groups? So we need some people on that table. We need some people on that table. What colour shoes do you have on? What colour shoes? Black. You can sit here. You can sit on this table. Right, okay. So this is your working group. So this is a a bit of an interactive session. It's not me talking, it's a facilitated dialogue, if you like. So we're going to talk about what type and timing of team coaching interventions are genuinely helpful for team performance. We're going to unpack that. What is the environment and support that teams need in order to thrive? So we're going to unpack that as well, which is part of the 5th Agile principle. Any questions on what we're covering?
Yeah, so in terms of scaling in the name of this
Yes.
session, does it mean like scaling the project, like having more teams on the project, or it means like scaling the idea of the agile throughout the company?
Scaling the team or the concept of a team. Ask the question again if it's still valid later on, if it's not answered. Okay, so participation is going to be 3 5-minute activities. So it's active participation. So I'm going to present some content. We're going to have a dialogue about it, and you're going to have a dialogue about it, and then we're going to share what we've learned. Raise your hand anytime if you have any questions. And when I raise my hand, that means we're out of time. So if you could just raise your hand too, so everyone can see that we're out of time, and then we can reconvene. Outcomes. So hopefully we'll run out of time. You will leave with an understanding of where best to focus your effort as a leader or a coach of a team. You'll have an understanding of the conditions and environment and support that a team needs to be effective within your context. And you will have access to some coaching cards with helpful coaching questions for you to use with a team or for you to use with leadership. Anyone who you're working with now. So I've got those here. I'll hand them out shortly. First of all, I want to start with this definition. What is an effective team? So it's broken up into 3 parts. So an effective team is a team with an output that consistently meets or exceeds its stakeholders' expectations. So if you think about Scrum team and a product owner that is consistently happy with what the team are delivering. A team that increases its capability as a consequence of its work. So again, if you think about Scrum teams do retrospectives. They continuously improve the way that they do the work. And also a team that contributes positively to the learning and well-being of its members. So that's just a definition of what an effective team is that we can all agree on right now. Any questions on that? Okay, so quick activity, 5 minutes. Question first, any Scrum Masters in the room? Agile coaches? Pretty much everyone works with teams in some capacity. So as a Scrum Master, leader or coach of a team, you've come to the right place. What is an activity, coaching approach, tool or model that you use to support them? So what do you do with teams? What interventions do you use? What do you do when you do retrospectives? How do you intervene with teams? Write them down. Talk to each other. Help the team, support the team. With anything, yeah. If you're a Scrum Master of a team, what do you do to support them? Do you know the five dysfunctions of a team? No. Well, you do. Write it down. It's that kind of thing. That kind of thing. Anything that you use with a team to help them. Cold. Noise. How many have you got? Oh, could you put them on individual post-its? Yeah, because we're going to put them on the wall. Well, you got to do some work.
When you said tool, do you mean like tools like
No, like five dysfunctions of a team. That's a tool, yeah. Or what we're going to talk about next, the 6 conditions of team effectiveness. That's a tool. Whatever whatever your go-to interventions are with teams. Retrospective's one of them.
wait, this doing things not in not structure way. I mean, like I read all about these things like
Mm.
functional teams and so on.
Mm-mm.
But when I work with teams, I don't approach in that way, having in my mind, okay, five is functions in a team,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm just approaching them with intuition,
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, um, coaching.
coaching. Yeah, definitely.
Coaching.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Yeah.
Relationship coaching.
Mhm.
Yeah, whatever. Be as specific as you can. It's not. It's not a test. It's not a test. 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. So if you could write them all down individually on individual post-its, please. Yes. Okay. Have you all got a big list? Right. Okay. Keep hold of that list. Keep hold of that list. We'll move on. We'll come back to that shortly. So you may have listed some of these things out. So um, in my experience working with teams over the years, I go into an organisation, there'd be a team there, and my key stakeholders say, Phil, there's an agile team. Will you go and coach them? Does that sound familiar? So an intact team, they're in place and they are performing relatively well. I'm a new coach or Scrum Master. I go into the organisation and I do some of this stuff with them, usually at the end of an iteration, so every 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Work on relationships, continuous improvement, the practices, the dynamics within the teams. What I started to notice was that a repeating pattern, regardless of the organisation, would be that the team seemed to plateau. So it doesn't matter what intervention I'd make. If it was one of these, a coaching intervention, the team's performance never really increased. The team's well-being didn't really increase, and the team didn't really learn real learning, and take any real learning. It was kind of like plateauing. And I noticed that this was repeating, and some of my colleagues working in different organisations noticed the same thing. So who's a lifelong learner? Who would say in this room that they're a lifelong learner? So I think pretty much everyone in this community is a lifelong learner. So at this point, you finished, yeah. Sign the book for me, yeah. So in my intent to improve my competence as a team coach and as an impactful agile coach, I did some training. I did some professional coach training. I did some systemic team coaching, which introduced me to a lot of different thinking from different parts of business. And one thing in particular was, I'm not going to move on to that yet, something called the 60-30-10 rule, which was devised by Hackman and Wagman, and it's referenced in 2 or 3 of their books. It's over 40 years old, so I'm going to talk about that in a second. Well, as part of this kind of learning journey, I discovered that and a couple of other things which were based on science, so based on objective, well-validated research going back decades and decades with across a whole range of different organisations. So I thought, I can't ignore this. So I dove into it a little bit. Before I do that, we've got one more activity. So the post-it notes on your desks, could you please, read that or listen to me and add them on this mirror here where you believe they sit. So those interventions on your table, are they coaching interventions? Are they things that you do with a team when they're intact and in place? Are they things that you do before a team exists? Or are they things that you do launching, kicking off a team? So just put them underneath where you believe they should be. Yes. In the middle. I'm going to talk through that in a minute. So coaching is defined here as coaching the existing team in their existing process. Yeah, just put them. No, just put them on. Put them on. Yeah. $30 left, guys. 30 seconds. 10 seconds left, Chris. So all of the interventions that you've got there need to go on this wall. Okay. Is that everyone, yeah? Right. So in my search to increase my competence as an impactful agile coach, I come across two things. One of them was this 60-30-10 rule, and another thing in the same, as part of the same research, is the 6 team conditions of effectiveness. So I'm going to talk through both of those now. So this 60-30-10 rule is well evidenced research which suggests that in order to be most impactful as a leader coach of a team, most of your effort, 60% of the effort, focused on the team's design. So activities that occur before the team even exists, 60% of that directly affects the team's ability to be effective. 30% is 30% of your time spent on the launch of the team, or all of the time spent on the launch of the team is 30% of the effectiveness, and only 10% of coaching a team, an intact team, just coaching an intact team, only 10%. So only 10% of your 100% of your effort, 10% equals the effect of just direct coaching. Does that make sense? Yeah, do more. So if the conditions aren't in place, basically the message there is if the conditions aren't in place for a team to thrive, then they're never going to improve. So the same research basically decides or determines what are those conditions that a team needs to be in place. So obviously we're all agile coaches here, and I, at this time, was curious about this principle number 5, build projects around motivated individuals. give them the environment and support that they need, and trust them to get the job done. So when I first become familiar with the manifesto, this was probably one which for me was I was least interested in. It didn't really it didn't really make that much sense to me. So the questions I had was, how do you know if an individual is motivated? How do we know what the environment support that they need is? And how do we trust them to get the job done? I suppose that's the easiest element of that. The other thing was, who's this aimed at? So I was always curious about this, which is why I'm excited John's in the room, because he was in the room when this thing was created. So in my on my journey to basically unpack this and increase my competence as an agile coach, I discovered these essential conditions. So it's split into 3 enabling conditions, 3 essential conditions and 3 enabling conditions. The essential conditions are the things that must be in place, the basic fundamentals of an environment for a team to function, basically. The enabling conditions, there's 3 of those, and they accelerate the development of a team which has got the essential conditions in place. So this for me was a big light bulb moment. It answered a few questions, basically all of the questions within this principle. So, and when I go through the conditions, you'll understand why. So, motivated individuals, this describes the environment and support that they need. And actually, this is a leadership function. So I realised that having this new lens and being able to have a conversation with those in place to create the conditions for others to thrive, which is the leadership people I was working with, this gives me a more a different set of an easy conversation to have around what the team needs. So I'm going to go through the essential conditions first. So there's these 3 things which you may be familiar with. Each of these things is broken down into 3 measurable, objective, measurable elements. So a compelling purpose, I did have a quick look, and I think there's a vision in there. So a team needs a compelling purpose. It needs to be clear. So everyone in the team needs to understand, see the purpose, and it's clear to them. It needs to be challenging and consequential. So it's meaningful to them and the lives of others, and it's challenging to the individuals within the team. So that's the purpose. When you've got a purpose, then and only then can the team form. So a team needs to be a real team. It needs to be bounded. So everyone on the team needs to know each other. So how many teams do we work with where people don't know everyone on the team? It needs to be stable, i.e. stick together long enough to create some value, but also learn from each other and support each other. And probably most importantly is that the team is comprised of individuals which are interdependent upon each other for delivering that purpose. So they need each other. They actually need each other to deliver what's expected of them. Right people is broken down into these 3 things, which is diversity, appropriate diversity. So that is not necessarily males, females, different regions, different neurodiversity, different experience, different ages, different backgrounds. So the appropriate diversity for each to learn off each other. The right skills, the skills to complete the task, the purpose, and teamwork skills. So the individuals within the team need teamwork skills. Not everyone knows how to work in a team. So these are the 3 essential conditions which I started looking at teams that I was working with, and in the past, which of these elements weren't in place, and what can I do about that going forwards. Here's another activity. So if you think of a team that you're working with right now and answer that question, which essential condition would have the most influence on that team's effectiveness and why. Real team, compelling purpose, or right people. And I'm going to put this back on so you can see what the elements are. So which of these conditions, essential condition, would have the most influence on a team that you're working with right now? And why? Sorry? Well, it should be positive, yeah. So if for example, you're working with a team that isn't stable, i.e. people keep getting moved on to other teams, then that's a negative thing. But if you could introduce stability, is that a positive thing?
Yeah, I would like to see and also use the opportunity to ask, are you going to share this presentation?
Yeah, so what I'll do right now, actually, because it'll be helpful, these cards, so you can keep these, cut them out, and so on this side is the condition, on the other side are some coaching questions which you can ask of a team, but they'll probably be useful now for this exercise. And if we run out, which we will do, drop me an email, and I can send all of this stuff over to you, yeah?
Yeah, so I would say in my case, I would say it's the right people, and out of those three characteristics, I would choose teamwork as the most important one.
So just discuss in your groups for now, and then we're going to debrief. Two more minutes. Okay. Right. Okay. So, quick debrief. Who wants to go first?
Sure. So we lengthened the discussion, but in the end circled back to the compelling purpose
Right.
and consequentiality of the work being done,
Yeah.
how important it is and what impact it makes.
Right. And is that a change that you would make with the team that you're working with?
Actually, yes.
Yes.
We do make a product, but we are unsure on how actually it behaves on the market. All inputs we get are from our internal testers,
Yeah.
not really in tune with the clients.
Yeah.
Maybe the product guys are, but we aren't.
Yeah. So, what do you think the impact would be of doing that with the team?
I think we will be, I mean, I know we spoke about that, we will be more motivated and maybe,
Motivated individuals.
yeah, there
Yeah.
will be some stories like, yeah, that dude from Germany told us you can't do this and this, it will make this feature, it will make his life better, etc.
Yeah. Anyone else? Right. For the same reasons.
Yeah, in our case, we have a lot of artists in the team. So majority of the team are basically artists, and they strive for a purpose. They like to see the values of the stuff they're doing, because doing art without the final larger goal is basically just manual labor.
Right.
So we already have established the teams and have successful launch, but now for the past year we don't have a new project, and the lack of the compelling purpose is basically crumbling the
Right.
you know.
Cool. And what about you guys?
We had several issues, so we didn't come up with the one. We were talking about actually how we have a example of a good real team that's really been together for a long time in a positive way. It's not like what we should work on. And discussion went in that way. We saw that it was a really stable team. It was bounded together, a lot of individuals working together for a long time, and how they can do the work
Yeah.
independently. So not really what can go better.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Example of a good,
Design.
that's what we
Yeah.
thought about.
Brilliant. And what about this table?
I don't know, I think all three things are essential.
Mm.
I think they are, because if we all strive to one purpose and we understand what we are in it to do, but we are like a shitty team, we are not going to do it. And if we are not the right people for that purpose, we again are not going to do it. So basically, all three things are essential.
Yeah. And have you seen any examples of those three not being in place?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the enabling conditions. So when the three essential conditions are in place, these enabling conditions can be introduced or designed. So there's three again: sound structure, team size, not too big, not too small. We're all working in Scrum here, so Scrum's got its own criteria for that. Task design, so the team have the autonomy to work out how best to solve their problem. So this is 40-year-old research, so before Scrum. So I know we encourage autonomy and self-organization within Scrum teams, but this supports that. Team norms, which may be on that list. So how are we going to work together? How are we going to behave together? What if things go wrong? What we're going to do then? A supportive context. So the supportive context is, have the team got the appropriate resources that they need to deliver their purpose? So does the organisation provide them with what they need? Training, appropriately trained. Do they have the right information? Do they have access, ready access to the right information? And are they rewarded? So is the team itself rewarded for what they do and not individuals? Then and only then can you coach a team. So if all of these things are in place, team coaching will be effective. So that's broken down into, is team coaching offered and is it available and effective? So most of the work that we do here, if these other things aren't in place, is pretty much, well, not very impactful, let's just say that. So another activity, just going, same as last time, just going through these enabling conditions. So which of these enabling conditions, it's a different question, which is the most challenging enabling condition to introduce and why? So, and you don't have to just talk about your current context. So this could be in an organization you've worked in the past. One more minute.
I to što kažeš nema odmah rezultate i onda je teško ubediti nekoga da investira u tom vreme, bilo šta, mislim.
Coaching, ja bih rekao, coaching puno više
Release parties.
ti mogu doći i reći,
Yeah, we did.
ovo ti je žuti.
It was madness.
Coaching za oni su znali to.
But it wasn't that impactful.
To je ono kako on
Okay.
znači da sviđa mi se.
Right, okay. Debrief. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, okay, we can go first. We agreed that sound structure would be something of a basis for a team to function properly, and then of course other two are important and could be worked on alongside.
Which element of sound structure?
Team norms maybe.
What about you guys?
I mean, everything is challenging, right? It's
Yeah.
contextual.
Yeah.
However, for example, the sound structure, if it's a legacy system or something like that, that becomes a really big problem in team size, in tons of things.
Yeah.
Supportive context may be the easiest one, right? Because you can pay for training, you can pay for information or get information. However, the perspective of the environment on the team as a whole
Mm.
and the rewards and how
Mm-mm-mm.
treat them, I've never seen that
Yeah.
in practice. And the coaching part, especially effective coaching,
Yeah.
is underappreciated, I would say,
Yeah.
and a difficult skill to master, and not a lot of people are invested in that
Yeah.
and have that skill, so that's problematic as well.
What about you guys? What is the most challenging enabling condition in your world?
Kind of had a unanimous vision of understanding that the supportive context is something that is maybe mostly the most challenging because it has the elements that are not in team control.
Mm.
So understanding what the having resources to enable a good and productive team is not always available, and the other two things are kind of they are in your hands, so you
Mm.
can do stuff about it, even with some difficult circumstances. But these things, provided that even though you have resources, like having a good supportive context for the team is very challenging to understand how to reward, how to train, and how to
Mm.
inform your team to grow is something that's
Yeah.
mostly difficult.
And what about you guys?
Yeah, we were talking and we choose team coaching because, for example, teams are not that open sometimes to ask for help, and you need to find the right way and right approach
Mm.
how to coach them and also not to offend them. For example, if they need like some agile refresher. So basically we chose those, and also we have to explain them why do they need that, for example, because this and this, and for example, since I was working in scaled agile, I needed to explain why one of my teams needs this
Mm.
and why like another team doesn't need, and not to offend them and not to compare them. So, and also what is really important there, if the company supports you with providing coaching, and also, for example, scrums where scrum masters can
Mm.
meet and share the knowledge if they have, if they wish to share knowledge. So.
Cool. Okay. So what this body of knowledge, if you like, provided me with was an understanding of what the environment is that teams need in order to thrive. So it's kind of addressing the agile principle. I'm very much aligned with what's expected of me in the role of agile coach is to help the organization live and breathe these principles. So, but more than that, it gave me a different way of thinking and a different way of looking at at teams outside of the teams, beyond the teams, and enabled me to have conversations with leadership around what it is they need to do in order for teams to be agile and be effective, because I didn't know how to have that conversation beforehand. So this is one thing which I've created, which is basically derived from the 16 conditions framework. I can send this to you, so I've just got this above my monitor, and if I'm speaking to pretty much anyone who's needing support or intervention with a team, whether that's a leader of a team, whether it's a team that I'm assigned as a coach to, I can ask the team members these questions, or I can ask the leader of the team a different type of the same question, but in a way that that they'll respond to. So for me, it's been very impactful in helping me become impactful, in helping organizations become more effective through scaling teams. So I can share this with you if you think it'll be useful, and the cards that you've got, I can also share those with you, and I think that's pretty much it. So we talked about the significance of a team's design on its effectiveness. We did indicate that we spend most of our time in coaching and less so on the design and the team launch. I hope that now you've got some tools to give you a different way of looking at a team and a way of intervening with a team which can coach them on their own design, and also help leadership understand what it is they need to do in order to create the conditions that teams need. And one final question. What's one thing you're going to do with a team now in order to support them? You can just think about that. Thank you.